Hello and welcome to this new Android development tutorial. This is part 3 of how to make a camera application for Android. In this tutorial we'll continue to set up our application and like the flash features and so on. So now I'm seeing an error right here. So in the rotation I forgot to end it with a semicolon. So now it's fixed. Apparently we have another error, the same error right here, another semicolon, and I think we're good now. Okay, so we were setting up the flash features, if you remember. So we already did the rotate camera, and now we set up this has flash method. So that method will enable us to know if the device camera has or not a flash. Okay, which is great. Okay, so what we will do now is that we will hide the flash button we created previously if the device has no flash. We will do that on our onResume method in the bracket in which we initialize the application. So after rotate camera, we will create a flash button. But we will also want to access this button from outside this onResume method. So we'll create a global variable right here, type private button flash. Oops, I have to import the button. Okay, button flash button, flash B maybe. Okay, so we have a button right there, and here I will initialize that button. So we're going to say flash B will be equal to find view by ID r.id dot flash. So we have set up that previously. Okay, and now I will check if the device has flash or not. For that I will say if has flash, I will go and say flash B dot set visibility to visible. Okay, and if it doesn't have flash, I will say flash B dot set visibility to gone. Okay, which is great. Now we want to know when the device orientation changes. Okay, so we want to know when the device orientation changes. Maybe the user rotates the device, so we want to rotate the camera or the or layout or so on. So to do that, we will create a rotation listener. Okay, and rotation listener, if I'm not wrong. So orientation listener or rotation listener. Let me see. Okay. Orientation event listener, actually. Okay, so we'll go create it as a global variable right here. So you're gonna say private static orientation event listener. We will call it orientation listener, and for security reasons we will initialize it to null. Okay, so now we have created our orientation listener. So we have to initialize it just after this line right here. To do that, we're gonna say orientation listener, orientation event listener. You're gonna set this to new orientation event listener. We will have to pass a context right here, so you gotta pass these. Okay, and don't forget to end with a semicolon. And inside the orientation changed method, we're gonna say rotate camera. Okay, So now we know when the camera has been rotated, right? So that's great. But what we also, in order for this to work, we have to go to our Android manifest file, and inside here, let me express this warning. Okay, inside here, we will go to our activity and add some new features. For example, we're gonna say config changes, and we'll set to orientation and also to screen size. Okay, so we can know where the orientation changes, right? Okay, great. So now we can go back to our main activity.java and continue to set up our application. So we have the orientation event listener right here. And after this, what we will do, we will enable it. So to do that, we're going to say orientation event listener dot enable. Okay, great. Now, maybe we want to change to access something like the focus mode, you know, of the application. So we want to be able for the app to change between continuous focus mode and non-continuous focus mode, or even if it has focus mode, right? Okay, so to do that, we will create a global variable. We will call it private static fm, which will represent boolean, sorry, private static boolean fm, which is our focus mode, right? So yeah, that's it, private boolean fm, and we will access it to know our current focus mode. Okay, so we want to change the focus mode when we long click on the preview element, actually on the preview layout. So after we enable our orientation event listener, what we will do is the following. I'm gonna say preview that set on long click listener, and inside this new on long click listener, and inside here we have to know if the focus mode is available or not. So most devices, if not all, only has focus mode on the back camera. So we're gonna say if which camera, oops. So if which camera, okay. So you're gonna say inside this if focus mode, so fm, if fm is enabled and else if it's not. Okay, so if fm, we're gonna say p dot set focus mode, and we'll set camera dot parameters dot focus mode auto. Okay, and if not, no, actually we won't do this. So right here, if focus mode is true, we're gonna say camera parameters focus mode continuous picture. Okay, and if it's not enabled, we will say p dot set focus mode camera parameters focus mode auto. Oh, it's not flash mode auto, it's focus mode, sorry. So focus mode auto. Okay, great. And now we will try to set the parameters of our camera. Okay, so you're gonna say try block and open the try block and say m camera that set parameters, and we'll pass p as our parameters. And of course we have to catch an exception, so we're gonna catch and exception. We don't really want to do anything with this exception for now, so let's just leave it there. And of course we have to change the focus mode, so fm will be to different of fm. This means if it's true, make it false, and if it's false, make it true. So when long click right here, we will actually return true here. Okay, great. Okay, so we have set up, this is basically everything we need to set up our kind of camera right now. Okay, we have done rotate camera, we have done, it has flash method, we have created the preview, but we also have to create some new interaction features so the user can interact with the camera. So after this preview class, we will create some interaction features. Yeah, we can do it as a global click listener maybe, or not. So let's now try to run the camera actually to check if it even works, right? So I will be running it now to check if it compiles at least and if it works. So it's Gradle will be running, scanning files, installing APK, and launching activity. Let's see what happened. Maybe there was an error or something like that. As you can see, we have an error. It says attempt to invoke virtual method get support call effects on a null object reference. Okay, so this means that parameters have not been initialized yet. So we haven't initialized the parameters. So let me see. How can we initialize our parameters? Okay. We're rotating the camera and kind of initializing parameters when we call rotate camera. And the error is in line, in which line was the error? Sorry, I forgot. 131 and 94. Okay. And so as a quick fix, we will comment this line and run it again, check if it works. Okay, let's see. Or maybe it's not the parameters that it's null, maybe it's the camera itself that it's null. So we're getting the same result, but we shouldn't be getting the same result, right? So camera keeps stopping, okay. Let's see. Okay. So here we're not initializing the camera correctly. We are not opening the camera as we have to open the camera. So actually the error was not in that line of code, so we can uncomment this. Okay, so we will uncomment this and we will now initialize the camera. The thing with the camera is that we have to access it when the application is resumed, and we have to free it when the application is paused. Okay. Okay. So when the application is resumed, we have to initialize our camera. Okay, so for that purpose, before the M preview, we will now say M camera equals to camera dot open. Okay, and we will run the app again and check if that works. So we're running now the app and checking if it works, and as you can see, it is actually working. We can see the camera, and this picture is not a real picture, it's the emulator picture. Okay, so we can move around right here. As you can see, there's a dog right there, so everything is in the emulator for us developers to test our camera. And as you can see, it looks great. So all the code we used has worked. Okay, which is awesome, of course. But now we want to hide this camera bar and also this status bar. So to do that, we're gonna go back to our Android Studio project. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we'll go back to our Android Studio project. We will open the values folder here at the left, then the styles.xml file, and here we will create a couple more items. So the first item we will create will be window node title, and we will set these to true. Okay, and the next item we will create will be window full screen, and we will also set these to true. If we run the app again, we can check if the bars are now hidden. So we're compiling the application and it will be running soon. So now it's installing and running, and as you can see, now I have this whole camera view which shows more screen real estate, as you can see, which is of course great. Okay, so if we go back to our Android Studio project to see the next stuff we have to do, okay, we will go and think a bit about this. So when we open our application, we have to get the camera, and when our application is paused, this means the user switched to another application, we have to release the camera, right? So that's a must, otherwise we are not doing it correctly. So to release the camera, we will have to override the onPause method and release the camera. And to resume the camera, we will have to get in our onResume method. So we're gonna go to our main activity.java file. Okay, and we will, okay, let me see, main activity.java, and we will create a new method. So after the onResume method, here I will create the method that will release the camera. So you're gonna say private void release camera. Okay, great. And inside this method, we will first do if mCamera is different than null. So if mCamera is different than null, what we will do is the following. We're gonna say preview that remove view mPreview. So we remove the preview, and we also say mCamera that release. So we're releasing the camera for it to be used in other app. We'll also disable our orientation listener. So you're gonna say orientation listener that disable, and we will set mCamera to null right here, and we will change which camera to the default one. So we're gonna say which camera to which camera. Actually, this is this way. Okay, so we will use this method later when we override our onPause method actually. Okay, great. But now we also, okay, let me see, when we do our onPause method, how can we release our camera? So basically, what we have to do is override the onPause method. So we're going to say override protected void onPause. OnPause, as you can see, and I'm going to say super.onPause. And right here, what we will do will be call release camera. So we have our camera released, which is of course awesome. So when we don't use our camera anymore, we can just release it. Okay, which is awesome. Okay, but what we have to do right now is if we don't, so if we go to our unresume method right here, right? So right here we will have to check everything works fine. So let's run the app for now. Let's run the app and check if everything works fine. So the app is now running right here, as you may be able to see. Okay, there's the dog. And as you see, we have a kind of something here in this line. We have a white line right here, this white bar right here, which really cannot be accessed because of this bar I have right here. Okay, which is used for the developer mode. Okay, so let's see if I can move this a bit. Let me see. Okay, let me see if I can move this. So there we can see that there's empty. This bar is just empty. Why is it empty? Well, because the emulator doesn't have flash. But if your phone has flash, then the flash button will appear right there. Okay, so we will have to add more features and make sure the app works correctly. Okay, for now we will focus on adding more features. Okay, so let's see. To add more features, we will go to our activity main.xml file, and right here we will add more buttons apart from the flash button. So we're gonna go and add the switch camera button. Okay, so you're gonna say button layout width will be 0 dp, layout height will be match parent, weight will be 1, and the ID of this button will be switch camera. Okay, so we have added the switch camera button. So we have to also add the switch camera camera feature. To add the switch camera feature, what we have to do is the following. We will go to our main activity.java, and after we have created the flash button, maybe it doesn't really matter exactly where we put this, but we can do the following. So you're gonna say final button, and we will call it switch camera button. Okay, we'll set this to find view by ID, r.id the switch camera. Okay, you're gonna set the listener by saying switch camera button that set on click listener, new on click listener. And inside this, what we have to do first of all is the following. We want to call camera.release, so you have to release it first. Then we're gonna call switch camera, And to switch the camera, we have to create actually a method to make these look better. Okay, so let me see the method we have to create. Okay. Okay, great. So to create a switch camera method, we will go outside the onResume method, maybe right here. We're gonna type private void switch camera. Okay, and inside this method we're gonna say if which camera else. So if which camera, I'm gonna say m camera equals camera dot open. Okay, and as parameters we're gonna say camera dot camera info dot camera camera facing front. So camera, oh, it's a dot here, so camera facing front. Okay, and otherwise I'm gonna say just m camera equals camera dot open. Okay, so this is our which camera, and of course we have to change the which camera flag. So you can say which camera equals to not which camera. Okay, so when we switch camera, this is what we actually have to do. Okay, so let me see what we have to continue. So we were on the switch camera method, right? So we have to go again there. Let me see right here. So we're gonna here then the switch camera button actually. So in this button, what we will do is the following. So we first release the camera, then we call switch camera, and then we call rotate camera. And after this, we will do the following. We'll say try. We'll open the try block and say m camera dot set preview display, and will be set to my holder. Okay, we will catch the exception by saying exception e or something. We don't really need this for now. Okay, and after these we're gonna say m camera dot start preview, and we're gonna say if has flash. So if it has flash, we will show the flash. Maybe it has a front camera flash or a back camera flash. And if it doesn't has flash, we will hide it. So if it has flash, we're gonna say flash button dot set visibility to visible. And otherwise we're gonna set it flash button dot set visibility to gone. Okay, so that's great too. Okay, great. So we now, I don't know if the emulator supports front camera, but we will know now, right? So let's run the app and check if this works. So now I'm compiling the app, sending it to the emulator, running the app. As you can see, if I press the button, the camera is switched to the front camera, which is also an emulated one. If I press it again, it is switched back to the back camera. Of course, we forgot to set the text of these buttons, so I will set it now. It should say switch camera or something like that. Okay, so let me see. We're gonna go to the main activity main.xml, and here in the switch camera button, we'll go and say text, switch camera. And we also forgot to do that on the flash, so we're gonna say button on the flash one, we're gonna say text flash. Oops. Let me see. Okay, so flash. Okay, if I run the app now, let's check if it works. So running, and as you can see, it has the switch camera button right here. Okay, if I press switch camera, I have it right here. If I press it again, I have the other camera. Okay, great. So that was it for this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I see you in the next one. Bye.